Share. Can Cartman finally break it off with Heidi by Jesse Schedeen Warning. Full spoilers for the episode below. South Park has made a very pointed effort to avoid all matters Donald Trump this season, both because the 2016 election was such a huge element in season 20 and because it's tough to create satire that holds a candle to reality these days. But with today being the one-year anniversary of Trump's election, clearly Trey Parker and Matt Stone felt this would be a good time to return to old habits and put Trump surrogate Mr. Garrison back in the spotlight. It's a shame, then, that the Garrison scenes were the weakest part of Doubling Down. As entertaining as Garrison's presidential phase has been, there's a limit to how much he can really work as a stand-in for Trump. This episode played into the idealized view of Trump so many of his hardcore supporters maintain against all evidence to the contrary that he's a tough-talking, fearless leader of men who knows how to wrap politicians around his finger and manipulate his way out of any controversy. Look, I try not to bring my own political opinions into these reviews any more than necessary, but that's a very generous interpretation of things. Lately, it's become harder to argue against the idea that Parker and Stone are being unusually soft on Trump compared to past presidents. Not to mention that, as satisfying as it is to see this show direct its wrath at Mike Pence, Mitch I'm just a turtle McConnell and Paul Ryan, I found myself growing a little uncomfortable with this episode's reliance on rape humor. It's not that any topic is or should be off limits for this show. But I'm a firm believer that, whether in comedy or drama, rape should only be used as a plot point when it serves a useful purpose. What purpose did it serve here other than taking a few easy shots at some widely reviled politicians? Surely there were more clever options available than the shock value approach. That's really the larger problem with the Mr. Garrison storyline this week. I'm not sure what the point of it was. Obviously, the goal was to draw parallels between people stuck in abusive relationships and Trump voters who refused to let their support waver. But it seems like the writers could have accomplished that goal by strictly focusing on the Cartman Heidi Kyle love triangle. As it is, that scene in the Italian restaurant spoke to the divide between the pro and anti-Trump crowds more eloquently than anything else. Heidi's plight perfectly mirrored that of disillusioned Trump voters who find themselves mocked and ridiculed until they're driven right back to the other side again. It's a shame this episode had to break the season's trend of downplaying political events and topical humor, because the Cartman-Heidi romance took a pretty great turn this week. This episode showed us Cartman at his most evil and manipulative. It brought to mind the classic episode Scott Tenorman Must Die in many ways. Though what set this storyline apart is that Cartman wasn't enacting some elaborate, focused plan of vengeance. He doesn't seem to have any endgame in mind with Heidi. When he's with her, he's miserable. When he's free of her, he's miserable. There's something even scarier about the prospect of a 10-year-old Machiavelli who abuses and schemes because it's in his DNA, not because he has an actual goal in mind. Having Kyle be sucked into the middle of that tumultuous romance made things even better. It's been too long since we've gotten a good Cartman versus Kyle feud out of the series. This episode really made up for lost time in that regard. Cartman's pink elephants on parody-inspired nightmare sequence was easily the standout moment of the episode. The animators seemed to have made the most of that extra week off. The conclusion to this latest feud worked very well, to boot. Kyle may have won a physical battle with Cartman who, as the show has previously established, is completely worthless in a fistfight, but he completely lost the war. It was both amusing and chilling to see Heidi break up with Kyle by feeding him the same anti-Semitic lines Cartman has been spouting for the past 20 years. I almost cringe to think of what state she'll be in by the end of the season, at the rate things are progressing.